Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back once again to this Motorsport Manager career. We're back with the 7th race of the season. We're heading to Vancouver. It is the Canadian Grand Prix. Vettel is 12 points behind Charles Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship. Pierre Gasly is down in 8th. Hulkenberg doing pretty well in that. Williams is 3rd. Then we got the two McLarens doing well this season for a change. And McLaren just sit 5 points behind us in the Constructors' Championship, which is pretty much because the last time I were in Cape Town, the equivalent of Monaco, we had our worst race to date. Vettel 18th, Gasly 24th. Gasly qualified in 12th, ended up finishing last in the race, and Vettel, who started from 24th, recovered pretty well. Looked like he might be in for a fight up in the points, but had a disastrous mistake. He just ran wide on one of the corners, went too far. It cost him a ton of places. He ended up dropping back right down the field. I mean, that is why McLaren have caught us, because McLaren had a pretty good race with Sainz getting up there in the points. Luckily, though, for us, Norris was off the pace as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be leading the Constructors' Championship. Just now, we'll get into the updates that all the cars have done. As you can see, last time out, we had climbed to being the best overall car. And just within one development cycle of not having anything new going into the car, because we're building a gearbox, it takes a little bit of time to get that done. We've dropped down to 5th place in terms of the overall best car, and we'll just run down what the teams have done. Mercedes have built their second new engine of the year, also a slight upgrade to their braking system. But as you can see, Mercedes have moved to the top of the order in terms of raw power in that car, and then the two Mercedes customers, McLaren and Aston Martin, are just behind them. They finally passed Renault. Renault had an absolute beast of an engine at the start. They've not upgraded that engine so far yet this season, but with one upgrade, Renault and their customer team Williams will be back up the order. Williams have got new brakes on the car. I mean, we've still got the best brakes overall, even with Mercedes, Williams and Prema upgrading. We still have the best brakes in the game. Ferrari have got a new gearbox, as have Renault. Ferrari have the best gearbox now, surpassing the Ford Haas, and Renault slide into 3rd place there. Otherwise, we've got McLaren with a front wing, Aston Martin with a rear wing, AlphaTauri with a rear wing as well, Alfa Romeo with a front wing. And that is the end of the upgrades. A lot of teams, I think it's Aston Martin, have built 4 or 5 new rear wings. It's only got them up to 2nd because Alfa Romeo have got an almighty rear wing. I think they're only about 5 points ahead now, though they did have a big gap at the start of the season. Alfa Romeo have had the best rear wing all season. We are not too bad in terms of rear wing. We are 4th, and the suspension is 2nd, which Vancouver, they are the two crucial parts here. So we might be in for a little bit of a better race than we were last time out in Cape Town, where the gearbox was the most crucial part, and obviously our gearbox is absolute trash until we get this new one in. But anyway, we're going to get into the race. We can only pick ourselves, Audi, as sponsors. It is a high tyre wear rate track, but we've got ultra soft, so it is 24 laps. It should be doable in one stop. Luckily, there is no rain this weekend, or at least none that is forecast. Both our drivers are absolutely delighted with the car, so we'll jump into practice, which, as usual, you don't get to see. And we will be back in a second to go through qualifying. So practice is over. Mercedes looking pretty quick. We are looking pretty quick as well. Pierre Gasly outperforming Sebastian Vettel. As we know, Pierre Gasly does have the timesheet hero trait now, which does mean he is a little bit quicker in practice and qualifying. I think he gets a +2 boost to all his stats in practice and qualifying. We've got the 15% performance increase for both the Ultras and the Super Softs, which is good to see as well. So we just have to see what we're going to do in the race. We're pretty much there with all the setups as well. So let's jump straight into qualifying here. We don't have any rain, so we'll just go as we usually would anyway. And we'll get Gasly out of the pits first. We're behind a Ford Haas here. Although we should really let Gasly go second, because he is the better performer in qualifying. Maybe if we let Gasly go first and then Vettel out second the first time round, and then swap that around for the second run. But anyway, we'll get Vettel out of the pits here, trailed by a McLaren. I think that is no, it's one of the Alfa Romeos in front, the grey and red Alfa Romeo for this season that we have. So here we go with the flying lap for Vettel. Gasly is already on his. He's about 3 tenths down over, but then he improves. Just see where Gasly's going to be here. Gasly should be pretty far up the order because he's a decent qualifier now. Gasly goes into a second. He's 5 tenths down over from Kevin Magnussen in the Aston Martin. Alonso in a Red Bull, which must be suited to this track because that Red Bull is pretty terrible overall. We split down to 7th and 12th, 8th and 13th now. I mean, that is not a good qualifying run from either of our cars here. Vettel in 14th, Gasly about 2 tenths up on him. Alonso's back out already because Red Bull are now one of the bottom 6 cars. They will be one of the first cars out of the pits. So Vettel is going to come out first out of our 2 cars. We've got McLaren's up in the top 10. We've got Alfa Romeo. It's a pretty varied top 10. Ford Haas looking pretty slow here. And the Williams out of the running here, it looks like, in qualifying. Maybe they'll pick up in the second run, but Vettel will be going first, and then we're going to try and get Gasly out a little bit later on in the session. We've got a lot of cars coming out. If we're right at the end of the pit lane, we'll try follow that Ferrari out of the pits, but get out ahead. Oh no, come out into a massive amount of traffic behind an Alfa and a McLaren. Hopefully Gasly's going to be able to create some space or not get slowed down too much. So Vettel is on his quick lap here. On his flying lap, he's 2 tenths down over the first sector. Hopefully he's going to improve, maybe get towards the top 10. Hopefully Gasly can qualify for us in the top 10 here. Gasly comes across Sergio Perez in a Renault, is quickest out on track at the moment. Vettel moves himself up into 8th, so that is good. That should mean Gasly should improve, although he's a long way down after the first sector. Almost 3 tenths down. That is absolutely horrendous, although he picks up speed. He's only a tenth off or thereabouts after the second sector, so he picks up through the second sector does Pierre Gasly. It's currently George Russell and a Mercedes on pole position. Gasly climbs up into 4th, which is a really good qualifying session there for us. So it's a Mercedes, Renault, Aston Martin and Audi, and then another Mercedes, McLaren, the 2 Alphas together, a Red Bull and a McLaren. So quite a varied top 10. Then we've got the Ford Haas out of the running. We've got the Ferrari of Daniel Ricciardo, Hamilton outside the top 10, the 2 Williams all the way down the order as well, and Lance Stroll not doing the same as his teammate in the Aston Martin. But that is not too bad of a qualifying session for us. As we've seen, if we're pretty near the top of the order, we can sometimes go on to win the race. I mean, I don't think we've actually had a pole position in this game before. And what is this? This is like, we're coming up on 40 races and we've not had a pole position. We've won a fair few, maybe. I mean, we won the Constructors last season, winning a few races, but never actually, I don't think we ever actually got onto pole position at any point. We are in the top 10 with Gasly, so that means we do have to go with the Ultras with him. It should be an easy 2-stop race. We can do 11. Yeah, it's a little bit hard. It is a high tyre wear track. It might be a 2-stopper. Just depends what we can get off this first Ultra. We're going to go with the Ultra because we do need to use an Ultra and a soft during the race. I don't really want to push too much from the off this time because this is a high tyre wear track and it is pretty hot as well, so it does mean we're going to have to look after the tyres. But anyway, here is the 2023 Vancouver Grand Prix grid order. George Russell, medium form, is on pole position. Sergio Perez way off form on the front row of the grid. Kevin Magnussen is up there as well in 3rd. Pierre Gasly is 4th. 5th for Charles Leclerc in the Mercedes. 6th for Lando Norris in the McLaren. Valtteri Bottas 7th. Mick Schumacher 8th. On the 5th row of the grid, rounding out a top 10, we've got Alonso up there in the Red Bull. He hasn't scored any points so far this season. I don't think that's the case. He didn't get up in the top 10 last time. Carlos Sainz is 10th, 11th for Vettel, 12th for Lewis Hamilton, way off form for him as well. Max Verstappen 13th, his teammate alongside him in 14th, Vips 15th, 16th for Ocon. Then on the 9th row we've got Alexander Albon, Lance Stroll in 18th. 19th is Hulkenberg, followed by 20th is Nick De Vries, both guys in the Rocket Williams there. Schwartzman is 21st in the Prema, Sonada is 22nd in the AlphaTauri, and then rounding out the back row of the grid, we've got Giovinazzi, and then way off the pace, Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, it just seems to be cursed in this game. This move to Ferrari, he had the first 2 seasons with Renault, was way off the pace. I mean, Renault just making terrible decisions throughout the race. They had the best car, couldn't put it together. He's now moved to Ferrari, were pretty decent in this game, but just not putting it together at all. But anyway, Vettel is off to a pretty decent start. Gasly has held on here, although he's managed to get past Sergio Perez now, and maybe we should push him because we want to try get past these front few cars. If we can get past the Aston Martin and not give up this position to Charles Leclerc, it looks like we're going to get past George Russell there. We give up the place to Charles Leclerc, but we will get the inside line. And do we have the run on the Aston Martin here? We should. No, we don't. We go behind Charles Leclerc here, and we lose out to Valtteri Bottas in the Alpha as well. We should be able to get that place back as we around that. It is a long circuit, is this Vancouver Grand Prix, and we don't want to waste these tyres. We don't want to push. We do still want to go for a one-stop strategy here if we can help it. And Vettel now is up into the top 10 as well, and great start for him as Charles Leclerc from second place sets the quickest lap of the race. That Aston Martin looking a little bit vulnerable as Charles Leclerc is on the outside line, can't get it through there around the hairpin. Can the Mercedes get the better run out of the corner? Charles Leclerc going head to head with Kevin Magnussen here, and that is an easy overtake for Charles Leclerc. Gasly has dropped back to 6th place here as we are trying to look after this tyre now. It's all about trying to one stop, because I don't know whether the AI, I mean, some of these cars running down here, the AI does have the luxury of maybe going soft. Nothing we can do about that, but our main aim is to get through 11 laps on this tyre if we can try to do that. And with locking up like that, that is not going to be possible at all. Pierre Gasly locks up around the rather tight hairpin on the pit lane, but on the on the start finish straight. Gasly is 6th. I don't really want to use too much fuel either here, but no rain forecast. The weather's going to get a little bit heavier, and we're wanting to do 11 laps. It looks like we're going to be able to do the 11 laps if we just run in conserve mode. I mean, we're not going to be the quickest doing this, but we're just playing a long game here with both of our cars. Vettel has got up as well. If we just keep in the optimum range, we've got cars locking up all over the place still as well around that last, well, around the first corner, around turn 1, and Gasly is losing out to Schumacher here. And we lose out to Lando Norris as well. So at some point we're going to have to start trying to push this tyre a little bit. I mean, we haven't used that much fuel, just stuck like this. I mean, if we go a little bit overtake mode and get Gasly at the same fuel level as Sebastian Vettel, because we can recover quite late on in the race, and Gasly is coming under pressure as well for Sebastian Vettel. And Gasly should have the run on Lando Norris here. It looks like we've got the pace on Lando as we come across to start lap 5. Can't get it there on the outside, and this tyre is cooling down now, so that is pretty good as well. We can switch back up into neutral mode. What sort of lap times we're doing? We're about 2 seconds down on Charles Leclerc. We are at 67% tyre wear. We do need him to be lower down, although Charles Leclerc is holding on. Kevin Magnussen is not holding on to this tyre though. He's pushed all out 52% to try keep these places. It seems like everyone else is doing about the same job. No one really pushing the tyres from this point, and Vettel has managed to get past his teammate on track here as Gasly is now behind Sebastian Vettel. But 8th and 10th is not too bad of a place to be in here for us. I mean, we are quick through the pits if we can. Vettel locks up again, 58% now. It's not great. I guess it's just if you got a high tyre wear track and some tight hairpins, you get a lot of locking up. I mean, we've got Ardennes, which was absolute chaos last year. We've got that race coming up with collisions all over the place because the car's locking up. Luckily, no one is hitting each other here, and luckily we're not hitting each other, locking up around that first corner. But anyway, Vettel now manages to get a move made on Lando Norris, and he's putting Mick Schumacher under pressure here. Gets both moves made. We'll switch up into overtake mode. It doesn't look, no, have we got it? Can we keep it here as we head into the chicane leading into the hairpin? It looks like we've got that move confirmed on Mick Schumacher now, and that is Sergio Perez in front as Gasly is in 8th place. So when are we going to see people start to come into the pits? Is the main question. We've done 7 laps. We can get another 4 out of it if we can get to lap 11. This is an absolute success with the temperatures quite high. I mean, we're definitely going to pick up a place over Magnussen because Aston Martin are going to have to commit to a 2-stop here. We are still trying to get as much out of these tyres as we can and go for the 1-stop strategy as Vettel falls to a Mick Schumacher. Gasly is ahead of Lando Norris here. If we go overtake mode with both of our cars, see if we can get this move made on Mick Schumacher. Because it looks like this Alpha is pretty slow around this chicane and around the hairpin up here. As Vettel gets past Schumacher and Perez. And it looks like Gasly is about to do the same as well. Have we got the speed here to get past the Renault of Perez? We do. We'll switch back down. Hulkenberg is under investigation here. It looks like Hulkenberg's hit someone and he's slowly done irreparable damage to a front wing, it looks like. But we are now up into 5th and 6th place here, and it is all about stretching as we see Kevin Magnussen. His race ruined. Aston Martin not bringing him into the pits when they should have done. His tyres have fallen off the cliff here. I think it's 20% for the Ultras, could be 10%, but we are still trying to stretch. We don't want... Our cars are a little bit close together. I think we should be safe through the pits. Yes, we are. We've got hardly any risk. So a pit stop for us would put us 11th at the moment. If we went on to the Supers, would take 1.7 seconds. So we need about a 2.5 second gap between our cars if we want to stack them in the pits. That might be an option here because both of these tyres are going to go off at pretty similar times unless someone locks up here. But it does look like we're easily going to get to the 11 lap mark. Maybe we can stretch it to 12 with one of the cars. And Gasly, we're going to have to get him pushing because Perez is coming up behind him here. I'm guessing most of these cars are going to undercut us though. But then the AI does tend to be ultra aggressive on their outlap. Maybe they'll push that super soft a little bit too hard. We've got none of the front runners in though. It looks like everyone is managing to get through to lap 11 here. And maybe we've got at least 2 more laps in this car. Maybe we can go an extra lap. As Max Verstappen locks up. So Charles Leclerc has got up into the lead of this race ahead of Bottas. Russell is 3rd. So Magnussen, who was leading at the start, he's gone on to another pair of Ultras. So Aston Martin definitely committing to a 3-stop. Isn't undercut going to work? I mean, Leclerc should be in and out of the pits in front of us. Is Leclerc coming in this lap? No, the Mercedes is staying out again. I mean, right on the limit here. Mercedes, oh, we're going to risk it with Vettel. He's going to come in a lap early here, whereas Gasly is going to push on his in-lap. He shouldn't fall off the cliff this lap. Hopefully it is 15%. But we'll just go neutral and high with Vettel, and we just need to keep track of these times with Gasly on his outlap. He's quite a bit slower over the first sector here, and yeah, he has gone off the cliff, hasn't he? So that is a little bit of a disaster. It is 20% on these Ultras. But since we're off the cliff, we might as well just go into overtake mode and get Gasly into the pits. Hopefully that hasn't cost us too much time, because it seems like the AI is doing about the same thing. We're still in or around Mick Schumacher here. We'll just stick in high mode. We're going to have to recover the fuel from this point forward. And we've got a hell of a lot of fuel to recover with Vettel as well. We've done everything we can to get into this position. And we're in like full on recovery mode till the end of the race, through the last half of the race. We're just ahead of Kevin Magnussen. We're not really going to fight him because we do know he needs to pit again. But we've got cars running up here. Can't really touch the top 3, I wouldn't think, unless they go for Ultras. Ultras might not see them through to the end of the race. I mean, Gasly has dropped about 7 seconds behind his teammate, and they have got Ultras. So ultra aggressive strategy from the AI here. I'm not sure they're going to be at a stretch to the end of the race, although they did get these Ultras 12 laps. But they're going to be more aggressive on their outlaps than they are at the start of the race. So it might be a few of these front runners need to pit again, although they're not losing much time through the pits. I mean, it is a short pit stop here at Vancouver. Maybe we should risk something with Gasly to move him back up the order. Maybe if he's only losing a couple of seconds, he would go from 12th to like 15th, it says. So he's only losing about 5 seconds. So is it more beneficial to go all out and maybe do a 2-stop, maybe clear some of these cars? I mean, Gasly's sort of outside the points here. Yeah, we're going to go for it. We're going to get off these we're going to push these super softs. We're going to try and move Gasly up into the points here. He is 10th at the moment. If we get pushing and move through the order here, and then about 5 seconds for a pit stop, maybe that is more beneficial than try to save the tyres. That is something we're going to experiment here with in Vancouver with Pierre Gasly. Might cost him a few points here, but I feel like it is a worthwhile test here because he is running 10th. I mean, Tsunoda should get in and out of the pits in front of him, maybe, unless his tyres go off or not. Is Tsunoda's tyres going off yet? That AlphaTauri was in a good position there. So that will put Gasly 9th. A pit stop at the moment would put him still out in about 15th, I feel. Yeah, it would. So, no, don't get into the pits. Why we even don't want to set up a pit stop this lap. I'm struggling to get past Lewis Hamilton here. So this strategy is not really getting to the point where we would want it to be to try pull it off here. We do need to recover the fuel pretty rapidly with Vettel over the last few laps of this race. Would leave him open to Lando Norris. Hopefully Lando does need to pit again, but it doesn't look like that is going to be the case. Is Norris recovering here? Everyone's just running pretty cool as Gasly is now getting past Mick Schumacher on track. We get past the Alfa Romeo. Are we lapping any quicker than Sebastian Vettel? We are lapping quite a lot quicker, so it does seem to be working out. Push in the car. Maybe we should just do the same thing with Vettel because these tyres are going to overheat. Have they got 8 laps in them? I mean, it is pretty. We're going to do it. We're going to commit to a 2-stop this time around because this pit lane is not in there for a long time, really. We're not losing that much time through the pits, I don't feel. If Vettel came in this lap, went for the Ultras, he would be back out into 9th place. I mean, he's only losing about 4 seconds. If we can open up a 4-second gap to Lewis Hamilton here, if we can get ahead of George Russell. I mean, we do have to recover the fuel, though. That is the only problem, isn't it? We do have to run slow. But if we can get in the one, we're not pulling out much of a gap, are we? No, we're going to commit. We're going to try slow down a little bit here with Vettel, and hopefully he can get through to the end of the race. Maybe we just pushed him too much though now. We've committed him sort of to a 2-stop maybe. But we're still going to keep pushing with Gasly. We're going to try and get off this tyre at some point as we get the Ferrari of Hamilton. Magnussen is into the pits again. So Gasly is now in 5th place. I think we're a bit too late to swap back over. But we need to think what is the best point to get him into the pits and off these super softs, because the Ultra, when we get onto it, could go to the end of the race, and we need to be we need to try and recover some fuel as well with Sebastian Vettel. We might as well try and do that. I mean, we are open to Russell getting back past us. Obviously, Russell is on a way quicker tyre here. It's going to be pretty hard to hold him off anyway, but there is a big gap to Schumacher here, and Gasly is starting to get away from Mick Schumacher here. So we have moved him back up through the order doing this. He is in the 145s. We just need to stay enough ahead. We are going to be on a nice fresh pair of Ultras to finish the race on. Maybe we should get Vettel in because he should be far enough to get pretty much back out into 5th place here. So we'll get Vettel in, because he's going to be in and out in 5th. And get on some quick tyres whilst we have to recover the fuel as well. We're going to give up the place to George Russell, but you never know, we might be able to get back towards him. But if we just get Vettel pushing into the pits, or maybe we can do another lap as well, since these tyres are still as they are. If we go one more lap, or should we just get him in? I mean, what is our pace pushing here? Are we getting away from George Russell? Is that something, or is Russell starting to push? No. Yes, so I think this is a lap to do it with both cars. Actually, we're going to get both cars in for a nice fresh pair of Ultras. Commit to this 2-stop. Gasly is going to recover the fuel. Vettel should recover the fuel, but he's going to have to stay in low mode quite a while. We should have enough gap between the cars to actually... We are getting away from Russell here as well. So we might not be that far behind Russell when we actually come out of the pits here, because we should pretty much be in the same position. Or at least Vettel should be. Gasly is going to drop back. Maybe he's going to be behind Magnussen, but we should be able to get that position back before the end of the race. And Vettel is now in for the Ultras. Quick pit stops for both of these guys, and Vettel, no, he does get out behind Magnussen, but we should have the run on him now. And Gasly is inside the top 10. But hopefully we can just push to the end of the race now on these ultras without them going off. We might have to pull back on them a little bit, but there's no point trying to conserve this tyre at all. Vettel is up into 5th place. If we can get a move done on Mick Schumacher, that is going to be the main thing here. A 4th place Gasly. We committed to this to stop a lot earlier than we did with Sebastian Vettel. What happened then? Did we lock up? No, we're just running a little hot. But Gasly at the moment is right alongside the Ford Haas of Max Verstappen. Have we got enough pace in this car to clear these few cars in front of us? We did a 1:45.6. We should be a lot quicker now over these next few laps. That is Carlos Sainz in front of us. And Gasly loses it out a little bit there and a little bit slow around that corner. And Vettel is still closing in on Mick Schumacher. His super soft tyre is about to go. I was hoping we could get out and back in front of him, but 5th. And if we can get Gasly up the order here, he does get Sainz as well. That is good. We should be able to go into high mode with Gasly for maybe the final lap. Vettel is going to recover this fuel. I mean, it's just the fuel recovery that's slowing us down a little bit here now. We can maybe go medium as well with this car and go into low mode to finish the race. We do want to try get towards Mick Schumacher here. His tyres are almost at the point of going off, but I don't think they will do before the end of the race. But if we can just keep pushing here. 2 laps to go. I don't think we're going to get towards George Russell, but we can push into high mode with Gasly. We're not even going to attempt to cool these tyres down because we're just going to lose time doing that. I mean, we're not going as quick as we could do on these tyres if we were in optimum temperature and pushing. But if we just go into backup mode to try cool them down, we're going to lose time anyway. But Vettel is right on the back of Mick Schumacher here. Can we get this move done? We're on to the final lap. Can Gasly get past Kevin Magnussen here? These are the 2 moves that we need to do before the end of the race. Gasly closing in. Can we get it down the straight? Vettel cannot get past Mick Schumacher here. He is right on the back of him. Can we get this move done? Switch to medium before we go over here as well with Pierre Gasly. Come on Seb, we can do this. And Vettel does it. Vettel gets past. Can Gasly now get Kevin Magnussen around the corner? We're losing. We can't get into high. Can we go overtake mode to the final line? We do get the move done. Gasly up into 6th and we recover both those places right on the last lap. A well earned finish from Vettel and Gasly, 4th and 6th overall. We've got the 2 Mercedes finishing on the podium. A nice recovery from them after a few disappointing racing I feel like they've had. We've got Schumacher in 5th, Bottas is up there on the podium in the Alfa Romeo, Magnussen 7th in the Aston Martin, Sainz in the McLaren, which is good for us. We've got both cars ahead of the McLarens, one of them finishing outside the points, although Mercedes might have closed in. We've got a Ford Haas of Max Verstappen up there as well, and the Prema of Robert Schwartzman is up in the points as well. So Charles Leclerc will have extended his lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship with the win. He's now a 25. He's now got a 25-point gap back to Sebastian Vettel. That is 1 race win in its entirety. Nico Hülkenberg had a disappointing race. Pierre Gasly moves way back up the order into 4th place as well. And with that really good result for Mercedes, they are now top of the constructors. It's just 2 points back to us, and McLaren drop off after not a very good race for them. And Ford Performance Haas are still in, were they still in 4th? Yep, still in 4th. Alfa Romeo 5th, Williams 6th, Ferrari struggling in 7th, Red Bull struggling even more in 8th, and Renault, a terrible season for them, being beaten by AlphaTauri this season so far. And the customer team of Renault Williams outdoing them this season. But I'm pretty happy with that race. We're still in the hunt for retaining our Constructors' Championship. Vettel's still in the hunt, although it's going to be pretty hard for him to stay close to Charles Leclerc. That Leclerc is one of the best drivers in the game. Mercedes have a really strong car at the moment, and we do have the push it to the limit new unlock. It doesn't really do much because all the parts are fully reliable. We came 3rd overall this weekend, which is pretty decent, where we should be. 2.2 million coming out of the bank, and confirmation of the results there. And if we just have a quick look at the mail, Rocket Williams Racing, Hulkenberg had a bit of a disaster. I'll just say that it keeps everyone open to signing with us in the future. And just before we close this episode, if you just have a quick look at the votes that are coming up, we've got medium length practice sessions, qualifying sessions, so that is done. The first one was the removal of the Vancouver Grand Prix, which got rejected, but then this one did get improved, which is sequential pit stops. Pit stop events will happen sequentially, leading to slower pit stop times. So that means, like, I mean, there's only the tyres to be done, isn't there? There's no tyres and refueling. So it's not actually going to make a massive difference to the pit stops, I wouldn't feel. It says a reduced crew size. So I don't think that is going to make a massive difference, but it has been approved anyway. Yeah, so that is where we're going to leave this episode. We do have the new gearbox coming in, so hopefully that is going to be an improvement heading into the next race, although in Britain it is not a crucial part. The engine, suspension and rear wing, just like this race was, but the engine is a little bit more crucial, and we do not have a good engine at all, although we're on a par with the Ferrari pretty much. But anyway, that is where we're leaving this episode. A pretty decent race, but until next time, I'll see you down the road in Great Britain for the Guildford Grand Prix. But until that time, goodbye.